Not yet.
What's that saying?
One more. It's done there.
Press a refresh there, maybe. We're trying to figure it for live. You're all telling me yes, we are. Are we here?
I don't think so. Here we are. Now we are.
Here we are. We're live. Hello, and welcome to the Travels with Geordie MV Poem, along with Lloyd. Crazy live stream. You can hear the bells in the background of the carry-on here in Victoria Harbour, and that'll only go on another couple of minutes. Well, welcome to you all, and we're so pleased to have you here today. We have a lot to talk about, and super excited about what you have to share with what we might talk about. I've never noticed those bells are so loud.
They are loud.
Well, we're actually
out of tune.
Yeah, not a tune. We're actually 3 docks closer to the bells than I normally am. Anyway, so just a little housekeeping. I'm going to say hello to a bunch of people that come on, but I wanted to start off right off the bat with a mini Q&A because I've read all the comments. We've both read all the comments that have come in the last little while, and I just want to make sure there aren't any major omissions in your understanding of what we've got going on here. One of the first things is that some people are sensing that there might be a partnership, some kind of business deal that Lloyd and I are going into, and
Not the case.
that's not the case, right? It's
Boat has gone completely to Peter. He has it all. He has total ownership. He can do anything he wants to with it. If he finds out that this is not what he wants to do a year down the road or something, he can literally give it away or sell it however he wants to. Everything's his.
Right.
So I just want to.
Okay.
That's my gift to the channel. Use what you want to. I hope it can be a revenue generator and an activity generator and a platform for people have talked about. We've had some great ideas came in. Mini school,
lots.
Artist residencies, B&B uses, and we're going to try to address those too.
We're going to go into all that a lot. So, but that was one of the things I think it was worth getting straight right off the bat. And related to that, taking on, I've often said a free wooden boat is too expensive. Well, that's because there are some upfront costs, and Lloyd has also very generously covered all the upfront costs. That's the transition costs for insurance for the first year, moorage for the first little while, the transfer of federal registration. This boat is federally registered. In other words, in Canada, you can either license a boat and just get a number, and the name is just a nom de plume at that point, or you can register it with the federal government and the name is the name. There is only one boat in all of Canada named Poem, and this is it. And I just find that so cool.
I love it.
Anyway.
We're so lucky.
Yeah, in fact, when we talk about the name Poem, I'm going to show you something in a little while that's really gorgeous. Some of you will have noticed it. Anyway, so want to make sure that you realize there is no financial burden to myself or Travels with Geordie or effectively you to start off. So we're hitting the ground running. The other thing I want to mention is that I are very aware of the obligations and the regulations and the implications of, say, an Airbnb, or the insurance required to have people aboard the boat, or to charter the boat. If I've already said that's not what we're doing, but I don't know what we're going to do, and there's a lot of people involved, and I'm starting to make some connections with people that are going to help. So I don't know exactly what we're going to do, but yes, I am aware that it's not so simple as putting it up on Airbnb and expecting to have guests aboard. So just want to make sure you knew that. The other thing I want to make sure people understand is Poem is not a distraction to MV Geordie. It's an enhancement. Lloyd could see that the show was good. It had potential. There's all kinds of stuff. He was looking for something to help me and help all you in a way that doesn't take away from the initial goal and the long time goal, cruising someday, of MV Geordie. And so Poem will have to be self-funding. Whatever we do, whether it's via some Airbnb or a third party, or possibly because there might be a model where Travels with Geordie can get more funding, and some of that can be streamed off, but because of the additional funding, some of it comes back to MV Geordie, because that's really what Lloyd's looking to do, to help keep the channel funded and moving forward. So that's super cool, and also to save a really awesome boat.
Yeah,
exactly. On that, I'd just like to mention that some people have noticed the pace of my work lately has been slow, and so you might say, well, Peter, how do you get time to take on another workboat? Another boat project? Well, the pace is not dictated by what I'm able to do, at least not lately. It's on funding. So I haven't been able to do projects I really wanted to get into on MV Geordie because I just can't afford it, and that's fine. I'm still very happy. So what I'm trying to say is I have a huge capacity of time to be able to put into other projects, and one of those projects is MV Zephyrus. We're going to do a bunch of work to MV Zephyrus this summer as well, and on that we have to make sure that we're realistic about what's going to happen to Poem over this first summer, and that probably means not that much. We'll come up with ideas, we'll start to put stuff into place, but we're really looking at the fall before anything really happens with MV Poem. We've looked like we've secured a couple of options for moorage for her, and everything is moving ahead, but there won't actually probably be anything really active going on for a little while, but that's fluid too. In that sense, I'll have a quick look at the comments that's going on. That's all I really had to say. And right after this, we're going to go to a tour, which I know most of you are here to check out. I don't know how far back I can go here. If I miss something obvious, let me know, okay? Just wanted to say hi to a bunch of people. Michael, hi from Black Diamond. Ian, how are you? Mike from Wisconsin. Kim Sachs, Lake Yukon. Hi from Greece, Sam. Ouija says you can see us. Excellent. Ouija from Seattle. Good to see you. Mark Leferre, hello. A regular that comes in here. What do we got? We're looking for a question here. Ding ding, the bells are very poetic. Oh. Fair. Very good. That's Peter Nisbet. Wow, this is scrolling by so fast. Are you on top of this?
Yep, the greetings from Chile. South Chile, Peter,
right.
From Gabrielle.
Right.
Worcester, England.
Right. And who is it? That's
Nigel.
Okay, excellent.
Nigel.
We'll catch up. Hunter Rabbits.
Hunter Rabbits. Hey guys.
Matt Gray, Robert. Anyway, lots of highs, and that's great. I'm really glad some people are coming in.
Brisbane, Australia.
You need a haircut too. I don't need a haircut. Come on, it's fine. From the Farsi Islands. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And question here, what length is Poem? Poem's 28 feet at the boat's length, the water line.
Yep.
30 if you count the bowsprit and the swim platform. And 9 feet in beam, and 3-foot draft.
Yep. I think also how she currently powered.
She's currently powered with a General Motors straight 6 gasoline engine. That's basically the engine that the fishermen use around here in the BC coast. So all the mechanics that have looked at it said, great engine, in great condition. It's quieter, and it's quieter than you have with the diesel engine. It's much quieter and runs well. So it's doing really great. So we really love it.
Exactly. I mean, it's actually quite nicely installed. It's coupled to a Borg Warner Velvet drive, and it's actually perfect. Lloyd put quite a bit of maintenance into it to bring it up last year, and it's in super shape. So unless there's something else that we can, a styling, not a haircut.
That is styling.
There you go.
You got California with Braith from California.
Right.
And another one, Paul from California. Welcome. Netherlands, Jason.
Good stuff. All right, maybe we should get started with the tour. So I'm going to take you around and show you around a little bit. Do you want to be cameraman for this? And let's just go straight outside. What do you say? Okay. I'll go outside, and you can hand me the camera through the portal here.
And since I don't have 5-foot legs, I'm going to go down.
You're going to walk around, are you? Okay, well, it's hard to tell what you can see. As you all know, we're in beautiful Victoria, British Columbia, the Empress Hotel. Over here we have the provincial legislature, and here we have beautiful motor vessel Poem. Isn't she beauty? Now, Lloyd, I don't know, unless you turn the camera around, you'll just have to sort of guess what you're looking at. Anyway, so I think you've heard me mention this is a pre-war boat, 1937. 38. So built pre-war, which means there's basically no plywood in it. It's just built a different way, and everything is really stout for such a small boat. And I just love that about it. It's white oak frames, very much the same as Geordie. However, it's yellow and red oak, but it's yellow above the waterline and red oak below the waterline.
Cedar.
Cedar. Oh, sorry, cedar. Of course, yes. Sorry. Good thing there's someone here that knows what's going on. Anyway, so yeah, it's cedar. And for those of you who were at the big haul out last year, I also pointed out that Lloyd's boat was being hauled out at some of that time, and there's several new planks in it, and a lot of really great work went into the boat by the famed shipwright Scott that you all know of. So there's lots to do. Now, first glimpse, you can say, well, it's going to need a little bright work. And yes, well, all wooden boats, you know, have to have, you know, regular bright work, and it'll be pretty substantial. But there's something funny about pre-war boats. It doesn't look bad. I kind of like the way it looks, even with the bright work sort of needing to come along. So, you know, that has to be done. I want to say something important about this beautiful windlass up front. If you can see that beautiful brand new Plath bronze windlass. When Lloyd was first realizing that he was going to move on and do something different, he said, Peter, whatever happens, I want you to have that windlass for MV Geordie. It's quite a big windlass. It's too big for Palm, really, and it's perfect for Geordie. So that windlass will move over onto Geordie, and I have an offer of a lovely, smaller bronze windlass, a McMurray, the same one that's on MV Zephyrus. That would be absolutely perfect for Palm here. So we'll do a little windlass juggle there on that. Foredeck, nice big forehatch. That's really easy to get in and out of from below. In fact, when Lloyd anchors, he's got this great trick. He can manage the whole anchor just standing up in the opening here in the forehatch. So you don't even have to come onto the foredeck, which is pretty cool. Lloyd, you got to pull me back in.
I'll get you back in here.
We're professionals. Anyway, moving on. Love the opening front windows, isn't that just gorgeous? We think the top is still canvas, but there might be some fiberglass patches here and there on it. And but it's in great shape and has that great pre-war looking dark green on it. Just love it. All mahogany. I love that the windows are actually doors on this boat and swing around 180 degrees. I mean, isn't that just so, I don't know. I just think that's just so gorgeous. Moving aft, Lloyd, if I missed something super interesting, stuff on the cabin top. It's got the nice lamp boxes here. I forget what these are called, but they're super neat.
Fresno.
Fresno, yeah, the lens, but
Fresno
when you put it in a box like this, I forget what that's called. The boat would have originally had a mast here, probably with a gaff on it to handle a dinghy, and Lloyd's intention, and now my continued intention, would be to replace that and build a new mast for it, tidy that up a little bit. What else as we move aft? I love these just perfectly square windows, and the cockpit is huge for a boat this size. Just before we get into the cockpit, come around and look at this gold leaf. Lloyd was so pleased to have gotten the name Palm. This is genuine gold leaf work. It's just so gorgeous. I didn't notice that before. Is that a signature?
Yes, that's his signature.
Neat. There's a little bear paw or something. Earls. Anyway, absolutely gorgeous. And Lloyd refinished the transom last year as well as the swim grid. So that's why that looks so awesome. The whole boat's gonna look like that soon. Big cockpit for a boat this size. I mean, what is it, 5 feet or something?
Yeah.
So, a lot of interesting stuff to go on here. Any of you who've cruised know that cockpit time is prime time. It's super important to be able to get outside and under shelter. The boat had a very nasty, a very lightweight aluminum bimini, something maybe off of, I don't know what it was. It was pretty rough. And Lloyd opted to move on very quickly and had fully planned to build a very nice, solid canopy, like not canvas.
Mahogany.
All out of mahogany, all bows, very much like you'd see. I don't want to say, like Union Dreamboat, but
right here.
Sort of.
So
What's that?
So the inside looks like.
Yeah, exactly. It would follow the same bows of this, and and he's already bought all the wood to do it. So it may be that we just carry on with Lloyd's plans that way, because you do need cover. The sun gets just too hot to hang out in the summer here in Desolation Sound, and when it's raining, it's also super nice to be outside. Now, I know I have a mixed track record with canopies, but we'll try to make sure that this meets everyone's approval. So what? Thwarts also in here.
Thwarts in there.
Thwarts,
lockers down there, and then a smaller
hatch to go below. Exactly. Currently,
so all this is hidden.
Exactly. Currently in this lazarette, there's just a fuel tank. There's a gasoline fuel tank in here, and it's in nice shape. It's relatively new. So there's quite a lot of storage and room for other tankage if we go that way. Shall we go below? Can I take that from you? You want to make the big leap? He did it. All right. Okay. Isn't this just so cozy? Just so cozy. Okay, as you can see, basically straightforward, open structured overheads. All mahogany on the inside still. The square windows, those lovely little cozy curtains. Some nice original cabinetry. To be fair, I'm going to say these are original, but someone may say, no, Peter, they wouldn't have been. But I think it is. Also, beside you can see after there's some lovely stuff over there that we're going to try and integrate. Now, to be fair, when Lloyd moved aboard, we converted a small settee to a full-size bed here. So, because it's a liveaboard, and the needs of a liveaboard are different than a weekend cruiser. So that worked out very, very well for him. Also, the dinette that was here was literally too small to sit in, even for small people. So he's rearranged this a little bit. Although the remains of the dinette is still here, we can put it back together as a small dinette. Not necessarily what's going to happen, but again, now that so many people are involved, there will be some collaboration on design. But I get final word. No! Okay, cute little galley. At one time there was probably a diesel stove in here because there's an old chimney piece here. But hot and cold running water, brand new hot water heater, all brand new plumbing actually in the boat. Although this is the only sink on the boat, works out really, really well. Cool! Shall we go forward?
Yep.
For those who have technical questions, directly below me here is a panel that opens up to get at the stuffing box, which is in lovely shape, and the deadwood, or the end of the propeller shaft log, is in excellent shape. That's often really, really bad on these boats from electrolysis, from delignification, and it's extraordinarily good on this boat, which is super nice.
And the shaft, rudder, and prop are all pre-war bronze.
Bronze, really heavy, no pitting. The propeller expert that looked at the boat when we had it hauled out before, gave it the ding test and said, "This is perfect. This is perfect forever. It'll never go back." All right, through to the house. Isn't this just a great spot to be? Very monk-like, windows all around. This boat currently has a center helm, which is sort of feels kind of, I don't know, workboaty. I like it. Opening windows forward, which is really, really nice. What it doesn't have, which is I find strange sitting here, it has no dash, no helm, dash area, which is gives it a really different feel than the bigger boats. But that works out really well. Steering has a what's that standard sailboat steering company? That's written right on it.
Edison.
Edison has a new Edison chained cable to quadrant, so it's cable and chained exactly the same as Geordie. Morse controls are actually new. We put these on last year. There was some other stuff. Wiring is basically redone for all the important systems. If we have a quick look down here, Lloyd, there's a new panel. Some of you will have seen us do this. So, brand new DC panel, and most of the DC circuits are new. New battery, switches, all the cables for that, windlass breaker. The AC panel is not yet wired up because there's an existing AC panel on the boat that's still pretty good, but it'll all go into here. And under here are two on this side and two on that side, brand new, beautiful big golf cart batteries.
Yeah, the Rolf.
The rolls, the exact same ones that I got. In fact, we bought them all at the same time in brand new battery boxes. So there's a lot of stuff that's gone on that's really, really nice. There's a tiny forecastle forward, really, really tiny, really adorable. Exactly how to use it, we'll have to experiment, but it's a neat little spot with a brand new chain locker. You can see on the right, there's the official registry number carved into the stringer. All right, and you've seen us sit on this bench here, which is a mock-up that was starting in the direction of what we thought we'd do in here. Again, this is a mock-up. Some kind of way to turn it into more of a comfortable living space. And this has done that for it. He has a fridge in it, which is the only thing on the boat that Lloyd's actually going to take into his new life. So he'll have this fridge in his Sprinter. But something along the lines, figuring out how to use this space perhaps a little different than it has been is part of what we have in mind. This is actually one of my favorite places to sit because you can sit here with the window open. It's just, I love it. I love it. Okay, shall we carry on with some of this stuff here and see where we're going? Sorry folks, I have to reboot. Didn't expect that. So there's bound to be a million questions. Let's see what we got for questions. Whoa, way back. Way back.
Is that good?
No, turn it a bit to, well, I did doing that. That's very interesting. Wow, I didn't realize that iPhones had stabilization. Because it's jumping all.
Yes.
Oh well, hopefully it'll settle itself out. Good, okay, so I'm going to jump back as far as it seems reasonable. And again, if you do that too, you can see if we've missed anything really significant. Grain from Sailing Skeptic, any plans to change the engine? We'll get back to that. We'll get back to that. Only marina owners count the bowsprit. Yes, it's true. I'm looking now for actual questions. To diesel or electric, says Graham. we had a little fantasy at the pub the other day. We said, you know, what if we could? And then there's been all these comments about electric.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that. Here we go. We'll move down from Sweden. Step one, get rid of the gasoline. Too many gas-powered boats to burn to the water line. That's very, very true. However, if you are responsible and you put in interlocks to the blower and time and all that, there's a lot of gasoline boats that live long, happy lives. But I get it. It's the first thing people say about, you know, old boats. You know, got to be diesel. And there's some credibility to that. But hear us out. Hear us out.
Yes, but the speed, cruise speed's a little over 5. Except when I'm cruising with Buddy and with Peter, and it's 7.
Yeah. So the boat, I mean, the boat is overpowered. It can go pretty quick, but would be good. The 235 straight 6. Yes, Patrick, that's what it is. Exactly. Something else about my hair, whatever it is. Thank you, I'm from Sweden. What's the headroom? Excellent question, Mike Reister. I'm gonna say it's the same in both cabins.
It's 6'1" in the back cabin.
Yeah.
And same thing up here.
Roughly the same.
So
yeah.
Peter fits in
between the beams.
Between the beams, he can stand up tall.
Yeah.
And I'm 5'10", so I have no problem.
No problem. Now on that, I'm not even sure I mentioned this to you, but I have this idea because we're gonna have to rebuild the sole.
Yeah, lowering the sole.
I think I can drop the sole in here at least 2 inches.
Got
Lots of
space
room.
down there to do
And it has to be rebuilt anyway, so we might get 6'3". We can't change anything in the back.
Right.
But that, you know, it'll be nice up here. I have amazing friends, Peter. I sure do. Again, but it will slow at displacement speeds, says Rick. Well, this boat only has displacement speeds. It can't go any faster.
There's no planing.
No planing on this boat. Yeah, exactly. It's a round bottom, no hard chine, so it's the old style hull. Well, of course, 1937. So it's only going to go so fast. Running about 20. Yep, that's about right. Roughly 6 knots. Yep, we're jumping ahead. Okay, what projects on Poem need completion still? Which is a valid question.
One of the things we don't have is a head. We removed the original head.
Bathroom.
Bathroom was in the front. It had a single head up there, and I'm using a chemical toilet on now. So adding a head of some form, which we've talked about that. I was originally going to put it where the galley was and put the galley up here into the wheelhouse so you could in that corner over there.
Yeah, more of a social
but
space.
It may be that the forecastle works better, or there's a number of options.
Yeah.
That's wide open. So that's one thing.
Yeah.
The heat, it had catalytic heaters,
propane
catalytic heaters, which have been removed.
Yeah.
So the space for those to go back in some kind of wall unit, but there's really no place to put like a Dickerson, any kind of wall or anything that has to sit on the floor. There's just not the space. It's just we might have. There's no real wall space.
Yeah.
This wall space here is about the only thing, and then that limits your ability to come in without burning yourself going through the wind, which is a perfect enter and exit space, particularly with a little step here, or with 5.5 foot legs like Peter has.
Exactly.
Either one, it works great.
Now, to be fair, when Lloyd's talking about heat, he's talking about heat at sea while cruising. Of course, at the dock, you have shore power, you have all the heat you want.
Two of these little Noma heaters keep the thing at 21, 20 degrees all the time perfectly.
So I would say the heat future for Poem and Geordie are very similar. We don't have, neither boat has a system to heat underway except for engine heat, which both boats have. But once you're at an anchor, there's nothing yet for either boat. And my guess is both boats would get a Webasto in time. Now, a Webasto is a diesel product and the boat is gas right now. So, you know, that would be a separate tank for it. So it's hard to say exactly, but it may also be that the boat doesn't end up cruising in cold weather.
Right.
And so, you know, it's a moot point. But anyway, that's...
Keel asks, knows that Geordie's a monk. This is also a monk design. Yes. This is Edwin Monk design. And a 28-foot long monk. It's a tri-cabin cruiser. Just like, basically all three boats are the same tri-cabin cruiser, just in different iterations size-wise.
And time.
And
And this one being so much older. Is Geordie federally registered? And yes, Geordie is also federally registered. So is Zephyrus, actually.
Yeah. And the other big thing about the pre-war versus post-war is, if you notice when we did the tour, the pre-war boat is very boxy. The windows are all square, the angles come to either right angles or very squared off, whereas Geordie and Zephyrus have these beautiful long running curves, sort of like from the 50s, 50s cars,
different styling,
from the Model T period to the Chevy, that thing there.
Exactly, definitely. Love the teal paint on top of the house. Yes, Lloyd put that on last year.
That's British Racing Green.
Yeah,
and looks lovely. It's beautiful.
I'm trying to read on. Have Norway, lovely boat, exciting concept, great. I'm just not quite getting some of this. Poem is federally registered. Yes, Peter said exactly. Yeah. Internal pilot house. Yes, it's got an internal pilot house. Beautiful paint, good work. Hello from Antwerp. Oh, cool. I want to go to Antwerp. About the MV Poem design history. That's probably really, is that the question you just answered?
That was one of them.
Yeah, exactly. I'm way back here. 1938 monk. I have to do a refresh. Why don't you answer a question there? Because I'm going to be a minute. Let's see if we can get this.
Hello from New York, Michael. Welcome.
I'm going to work my way up. All he's asking is the hull steel or bronze fashioned, and it's an old boat, so it's steel fastened. So it has all the same circumstances as Geordie, but strangely in excellent shape. It just seems, anything old just seems to last forever.
Yeah, when we hauled out it on the last summer, I worked with a shipwright, Scott, who most of you met during that period of time, and the whole history of the haul out and all the gut pictures when it was up, we took all the wood from the hull down to bare wood, so the entire hull was stripped down to bare wood, and the top side was repainted. Everything that needed fastening was fastened. All the butt blocks were changed. We took out 10 or so through hulls. The system originally had this bizarre hydronic system,
jet bow thruster,
water system, and they had put an intake about this size with a plastic pool fitting that stood about 10, 12 inches high, and I was scared that the whole time that something was going to accidentally hit it, break it, and we were going to go to the bottom of the sea. And so that we replaced that and we closed all those off, and it only has 3 openings through the hull. It has a raw water input. It has a second water input for a future wash down system, wash thing, wash the anchor and everything. And it has one through hull for the transducer, that lovely one that speed and depth sensor we got. Peter recommended.
That all the boats have.
All the boats have. Lovely sensor.
Very nice unit.
And that's all there is. And we try to keep that to a minimum.
Pretty good. They're asking if you were living aboard, Paul.
I'm living aboard. I've lived aboard it since I bought it. The day I bought it back in May. I moved on, and I've lived aboard it ever since then, even through the haul out.
Exactly. I'm right about being Graham is correct. Free boat, free docking fees. Well, no, nothing in life is free, but it's being looked after. Nice center helm. Yep, it's neat. Some people are talking about other boats because this boat is not going 22 knots. Let's move on here. Do you know which boatyard built Poem?
No, we know it was in Seattle. We don't know the builder, There were 3 of them in 1938 in Seattle that were building Edmund Monk's designs. They all 3 had great reputations. So everybody we've talked to, all the marine surveyors, all said that 38 coming from Seattle was no problem. When you look at it, when Lachlan did the survey, he was very impressed. The actual frames and strakes and stringers on Palm at 28 feet are the same size as the ones on Geordie at 40 feet.
Same spacing.
Same spacing and everything. So this is built like a little tank at 28 feet with the same skeleton that Geordie's got at 1953.
Right, exactly.
At a 40 foot. So for 3 times the displacement, and almost twice the length. So really sturdy built, and Lachlan was so impressed. I mean,
this is our surveyor.
Our surveyor. Really impressed with it.
It might be worth noting, those of you who are in the Pacific Northwest and might have attended the Port Townsend Wooden Boat Festival in 2019 or newer. This boat was in 2019.
It was a featured boat in
2019, and amazingly, if you feel like it, you go way back to my video called Port Townsend. I don't know what episode number it is. I'm looking at boats and I pause on this boat for the longest time. I said, man, that's a nice boat.
He said, oh, I love that boat.
And I never even noticed it until, anyway, that's pretty good. Okay, we're going to jump on down a little bit further. There's a real production.
That was a question. I lost it.
Where's my daughter? Caitlin! Looks beautiful. My daughter's out there. Hello,
hey,
Caitlin. How are you?
There.
How are you? Yes, it is beautiful. It is lovely, beautiful. That's lovely. People saying hello. Excellent. I have to do a refresh. Okay.
Robert asked, seems like you've done a lot of work on the boat. Most of it was structural. I wanted the hull to be really taken care of, so we did replace the 2 strakes. The strakes that had the bow thruster and all that stuff in it ended up having a crack right down the center where the bow, it was just too many holes in it. And Scott literally replaced that 16 feet back from both sides. And there's a great picture on the Instagram feed and nothing there that shows the actual. It opened up like the teeth, teeth of a shark with all the ribs and everything. But the frames, I mean, and but did a beautiful job. Laid it up in there and we steamed it and it laid it up in there just perfectly. So Michael asks, what are your plans from here? What are you going to do? Now we can talk about that later if we want to.
Exactly. Yeah,
we'll talk about that a little bit later.
We'll try and catch up with the questions a little bit, and then talk a little bit about what we're thinking. We're moving on. Wiley asks, will you keep Geordie and have 2 boats? Yes. Oh, Geordie is totally my focus. If you didn't join in at the beginning of the stream, this boat is a side project, and basically exists on its own. It will have no impact on Geordie other than possibly. Well, the truth is, as Lloyd intended from the beginning, to help with the Geordie project. It might generate a little revenue that can help with that. So definitely keeping Geordie. Any dry docks stuff planned? Well, it's a wooden boat, yes, but not immediately. Not this year. It had a great haul out last year. It can go many years. It's also got the very best bottom paint on it. It's good for quite a while. And
somebody asked about solar. I had intention of putting solar panels. The roof will hold 400 watts of Renergy's panels, and if the canopy goes on, that can hold another 300 watts back on there. So there is a potential for about 700. And now that they're making 200 watt panels, same size as the 100 watt panel, you can put 1400 watts of solar here. Because I worked out a boat, I put in the upgrade version of the router thing. I have the Duo Transit Duo Pro, which has 4 SIM cards, and I will be taking that with me because I'm going to use that on the van. But this was designed to work with very remotely mobile
digital
office.
nomad.
That's why this was created here as a
exactly. Quick question: what's the approximate fuel range? To be fair, it's not that far.
Only 38 gallons is the fuel tank. Plus, I carry another 10 gallons on top, so I got 48 gallons. So it's not a lot of range. But there are when we set up the underside, when we move the batteries up to here, there is place now on both sides for probably 2 40 to 50 gallon tanks. Saddle tanks could go on either side of the engine pretty easily.
The intention was Lloyd was going to repower with a small little Beta Marine and put the same sort of saddle tanks, very much like Geordie, and which would give it extraordinary range. But anyway, more on that in just a second. We're trying to catch up. let's just delete that. Well, anyway, we'll just run through it. Let's see what's going on. Composting head, that's an option. Is the hull steel or bronze fastener? Answer that it's steel. Let's try and move along. Lot of work. Oh man, you're way ahead of me. Could you please do an Airbnb? It's one of the sort of thing we're talking about. I gotta say, I'm getting a lot more spam in here than we've ever got before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like, whatever. Which means it's just a pain to read through stuff because so much of it is garbage. Will there be a brass plaque showing Lloyd's name gifting the book? Yes, yeah, we'll have to do that. Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. Let's just keep moving. Hi. Question about water maker? Probably not, because it's not going to be a long-term cruising boat. It'll be a weekender sort of thing, so probably not. I have never seen so much junk. I'm locked up. I'm going to stop right there. And okay, talk a little bit about plans. Okay, so in the big picture, if you see anything super critical come along, let me know. So how do we use the boat? I'm sure stuff will come in. We sort of alluded to a couple of ideas that maybe it becomes sort of a boat, sort of, let's say, kind of like Seeker, where SV Seeker, the steel boat that people came and helped working on, not exactly that model, of course, but some way where maybe a few weeks in the spring or a few weeks in the fall, we could have like a little maintenance session or take on a project or two, and people could come and join him at that. Maybe that would be in one of the local shipyards, so that there was a place to do the work, find places to put people up. Maybe they stay aboard Geordie because I'd be there anyway. So lots of ideas and lots of flux, and nothing is set on that. So that's one of the things we might want to be able to do with it. And again, of course, I'd be very grateful for the help, but I think it might be fun to kind of work alongside, to have an opportunity to have, every time you watch a video, say, I put that piece of trim in there. So yeah, that might be fun.
And one of the things, really, this is the area of why I'm gifting the boat. Having been with Peter now for the last year, I see the stuff you don't see on the video, which is what I love about this guy in the first place. You see he starts something, he goes off and does something, and comes back and flashes back, and there it is, it's already installed, or it's already been cut. It's already. And what I see is him actually go and when we work together, I think he's doing something, and he has this unique gift of being able to take something which you already know and has a hack to do it better, easier, more efficient, faster. And I just thought that would be great. I've told him all along. I said, you need to bring people in and let them work beside you and see this stuff that you do this off screen, and not just the end result, because it's so amazing. I mean, I've worked with my hands my whole life. I'm a cabinet maker and woodworker and bookbinder and all these things there. So I love craft. I love to, and Peter is an excellent craftsman, and he's both from his construction and design entry, he's pulled this together into it. And I thought, what better way than for people to actually see the real skill set on the table, how he sets things up. I mean, I watch him and say, well, if you do it this way, it's faster. Oh, and it is. It's like 10 times faster. So that's where I thought a little mini school thing, where 1 week during the summer or a couple weeks during the summer, he sets aside a week. They raft up together somewhere at an anchor somewhere, and you put on, because he can carry 40 tons of plywood and all on Geordie. And you get up there and you go out there together and work on this thing, sleep at night, have a nice beer, go hit the pub, come back out, and just a nice weekend, and then buddy boat around at the end of the week in this new thing that you've had a chance to do something with. But more importantly, the knowledge transfer. You're getting sort of the experience of watching it, but to actually work beside it. I love working beside great craftsmen, and Peter's one, and that was one of my hopes.
Well, Lloyd is a little overly generous, but thank you very much, man.
Not much.
Anyway, so I mean that's the kind of thing we're thinking of in that sense. And again, the logistics of that, I still have no idea how we'd set that up. But this is the way we're sort of going. And then on top of that, maybe let's find a way where people who are really just want to be involved in boating, we find a way, maybe the same people, maybe different people, depends on what your interest is or what your comfort level is, find ways to get you boating in a wooden boat in the Pacific Northwest and Desolation Sound. And I don't know what that is. And in the episode yesterday or wherever it was, I said this is not going to be a charter, which is my intention. But there may be solutions working with existing charter organizations, and I'll get back to that in a minute. That actually turns out to be the best way to do it. But I'm not sure yet, and even if the actual cost of the charter isn't borne by the person who comes, the legality and all the logistics is handled by a charter company. But again, I don't really know where that's all going. But an opportunity for people to go boating. And that might also be like buddy boating, as Lloyd's saying. We could cruise together. I could show you some of my favorite spots in Desolation Sound or in the lower Gulf Islands, something like that. You've probably guessed that I'm an incredibly social person. In fact, I would rather cruise with another buddy boat than cruise by myself. So it's perfect. It's a win-win for me. And
Patrick, Peter Nesbitt asks, what was the favorite experience, cruise, or memory of your time caring for Palm? And it truly was this last season, buddy boating together. I mean, we crossed the strait twice. We cruised around the Gulf Islands. We had an intention to make it to Desolation Sound. I basically had a call I needed to make on a Monday. And Peter and Caitlin actually went on further north to Lund, and then Erica, and got stuck in Lund because of weather. I finally caught back up with him, but it was just a glorious time. We've had great times at Princess on
Wallace Island,
and Pirates Cove.
We had both boats over to downtown Vancouver in Falls Creek, and that was a
time.
Really cool experience. It's been, we spent some time with our good friend Scott in Maple Bay, hanging out, rafting up.
Had a great time there. Scott, after I hauled out earlier, and Scott allowed me to tie up next to him, raft up next to Altair, this gorgeous yawl of his, and there, and we did some more work on the boat there. And then Peter came up, and we then went to the Gulf Islands. Had a great time.
And we carried on back. So it's been, honestly, cruising these waters. What's the best experience? It's basically every day is just awesome. I just happened to be seeing Peter. We have both boats at the Victoria Classic Yacht Show in September. Probably not, but who knows? I mean, it's hard to move two boats around. And the logistics of the festival is there is nowhere to stay in Victoria. You have to arrive at the opening of the festival, and you have to leave and get out of this harbor at the end of it, unless you have other moorage nearby. Right. So it's always a bit complicated to come to Victoria for just that reason, because there's actually the open strait to get here. So trying to do that with two boats might be a bit too much, but never say never, right? Exactly. I'm going to let you look for really important questions, and I'm going to carry on with what I was just saying. So we've talked about maintenance on the boat and having people help with it. We've talked about boating on the boat. Well, there's another opportunity to make good use of MB Palm, and that's just at the dock. And that is, I guess, what we're all calling the Airbnb experience. But it may not be Airbnb. There may be a way that we just do it directly, where you stay aboard and you enjoy some fabulous harbor somewhere with all, I mean, if it was in, say, Lund up in Desolation, or Refuge Cove up in Desolation, or I mean, here in Victoria, if I can afford the moorage. I mean, the truth is the boat could stay here and people could come and visit and be here in Victoria. The only problem is the moorage here is very expensive, so I have to make sure, that makes sense. There's dozens of other beautiful places in between where the boat could be in other parts of the season, because we have such a long boating season here, or at least enjoying boating season here. So that's yet another option. And would that be funded? In other words, would I charge people to do that, or would it be for like the way I give away T-shirts? I'm not sure yet. It does need to generate revenue because I do need to pay for the boat. But we'll get into that in a little bit, and so not quite sure where that's going. So that's really the three ways I imagine using the boat, unless I'm missing out something else. And constantly improving its condition, so that yet another monk on this coast is being preserved, and we're stewards of it, and it becomes a legacy, which of course is what Lloyd's looking for mostly. I want to touch on propulsion a minute. Lester's an important question I should get to.
Yeah. It's come up here. We've got we've got fuel cells, we got
all
solar,
kinds. So you're picking up on the electric thing, aren't you? Well, I have this fantasy. I've had it before. Anyone who's been following along knows I went through all the math to make Geordie an electric boat. And it is impossible to make a perpetual cruiser, constant cruising boat electric just yet. And I'm sure there's several people out there that say that's bollocks. Of course you can, but you can't. You just can't carry that much potential energy in batteries. And then you have solar and wind. 6, 8, 10, 1,500 watts of solar are an infinitesimally small support for the power you need to move a displacement boat. We were just sitting in the pub. We were doing
yesterday.
Back of the, I used the calculator on the phone. Unless my math is off by a factor of 10, and Lloyd kind of wondered.
We already had a beer or two.
Yeah, exactly. So, what my point is, for constant cruising, you want to cruise 2 or 3 hours every day, and you're in a moorage overnight. You can't plug in. You might get some solar, fine, and you want to do it again the next day. 2 or 3 days of that, you're done. There's no way you can carry enough battery power. Now, electric sailboats that use an auxiliary, like the boats around us, they plug in every day. They use their electric motor to get out into the strait for 15 minutes, and then they sail all day, and they come back in. They use the electric motor to get back in. I think that's
and the cats, which do it a lot now, are light, and they're light display. This is 9,000 pounds, so it's pushing through, and that's could be a problem.
It's just not really practical. But maybe for a charter day use, if Poem's future is not going to be liveaboard or continuous cruising, which it probably isn't. Right. Maybe if we had the boat in, like, let's say Refuge Cove, which is up in Desolation Sound, or Powell River, or Lund, or one of the villages that's really close to Desolation Sound, it sits at the dock until you come to take it out for the weekend, and it's got a schwack of lithium-ion batteries all charged up and a sweet little electric propulsion engine. You could go 3 days easily out and about, the few miles, the few hours you need to get to a few of the beautiful destinations in Desolation Sound, and get it back to be recharged for the next person the next week. And I think that's possible. What it isn't is cheap. A diesel engine, brand new Beta Marine, is much cheaper than the batteries that would be required to make that happen, at least today. Right. So how does the future move? The electric motor itself is pennies. So the other option, which a few people have mentioned and we talked about briefly, is hybrid. So you have some batteries, you have an electric motor to drive the boat, and you have a genset, a diesel generator that sits compact, quiet under the lazarette in the cockpit or somewhere where when you're cruising, that engine is running. It's not actually making as much power as the boat needs, but that excess comes out of the batteries. And when you stop somewhere, the generator keeps going. Now, we all know what it's like to be at a moorage with that guy with his generator running. So it's not super simple to do that either. But, there are a few options. And you can bet, because the boat probably should be repowered, at least in the long term, that electric is super exciting. And what a neat idea because Poem will be a very public boat, right? You all know about it. Thousands of people will know about it. Tens of thousands of people will know about it. If we could make it viable to have a all electric, no carbon fuels, no propane, no diesel, etc., and make it practical and really work and let people enjoy it, I think that would be a magical thing to be able to offer the Wooden Boat Society, the community of wooden boats, because it'll happen. There'll be.
I mean, the technology is improving so much, so fast.
Yeah.
I mean, we're seeing each year. You're seeing better batteries, better solar panels, better converters and chargers and power managers.
Yeah,
they're just doing things. So it's not out of the realm possible. But the reality is, right now, the engine itself is a very good engine.
It is,
That's quiet, that runs smooth. This had a lot of work on it. Gartside Marine's done a great job. The guys out there are just amazing. I love Ben and everything else, and they've done a good job of keeping it. So there's no sense in spending that kind of excess at this stage here. And like I said, there's always a choice down the road.
Someone said, STCO, you're right. 50 horsepower is 37.5 kilowatts. That's 187 200-watt panels. Well, yeah, that's... Now, to be fair, we wouldn't need 50 horsepower. I think this boat would be quite happy with 20.
20,
So a lot. Anyway, there's all kinds of other communications on this. And it'll be interesting to follow up on all that. We'll try to keep on top of it, but the comments are coming in hard and fast. But I just wanted to mention that thing because that is one of the most exciting things for me. I have one more thing to say about that, and that's the loop.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. The America's Great Loop, I've talked about it before, the Great Loop, which is the potential of cruising from Chicago down the Mississippi River into the Gulf of Mexico, or possibly across the Ten-Tom Canal system.
Tennessee Ten-Tom.
Right. And then into around Florida, up the Intercoastal Waterway, and then you have a few options. The simplest would be from New York up the Hudson River, back into the St. Lawrence, the Erie, the St. Lawrence Seaway, back into the lakes, back to Chicago. It's a loop. Now,
that was my original. That was my original when I moved to here. Before I did that, I wanted to do a loop boat.
Yeah.
The problem I had living in Nova Scotia was you had such a short time to make the biggest part of the loop in your 6 months.
Yeah.
So you had to keep dropping the boat off.
Yeah.
And I was going to live aboard it, so I couldn't really just drop it off.
Exactly.
And that was one of the goals. Go
Yeah.
ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, what he's pointing out is that the loop is great for Americans because you only have to spend a brief period of the loop in Canada. So in terms of the 6 months limit in the foreign country. But for Canadians, it's really hard because it's hard to get all the way around the bottom. And I'll get a bunch of comments saying, we did it. And of course it can be done, but
in a fast power boat, you can do it pretty easily.
Probably do it,
but
exactly.
at 5 knots, it'd be a struggle.
and enjoying yourself.
But it is nice the fact that you can literally charge every night.
Just
an
about.
electric boat. There's like 112 stops. Was it Skipper Bob or something has this the route thing? And there's like 112 places you stop around thing. And it's a nice trip. And while you're doing it, you stop and power up every night.
Yeah.
And so that could be
So wouldn't that be neat? Wouldn't that be
neat?
neat? I mean, it would be in the paper in every town.
Yeah.
That this electric classic boat is doing a loop on 0 hydrocarbons. I mean, that sounds awesome.
That'd be cool.
Okay, so should we try and catch up with some questions? Because I'm sure stuff is pouring in.
It's zipping by here.
Yeah.
I can't even read it fast enough. Take care, Hunter Rabbits. See you guys.
See ya. They're off?
They had to head out.
Oh, they had to head out.
Enter early in a hybrid approach. So talking about hybrid again.
Hybrid again.
Could you do booze cruises, serving a selection of beers on the? Well, he's got the pub, and this will be the conversation pit. So you put the conversation pit and in the pub together.
Doesn't that go without saying?
That's a given, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought that was a given. Yeah,
and he's even got the penthouse. See?
Yeah.
Which is
he's talking about
better.
the bridge deck on my boat.
Which I know some of you don't like, but in the summertime,
that
it is glorious up there with the canopy.
It is.
Canvas on the
It
sides.
is. Yeah.
Okay. Something here about do the loop, and okay, he did the loop. Hello from Norway, from Gear.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome. Will you re-explain the loop, please?
I'll start it. It's a series of waterways, old commercial waterways. Just like Europe, at any time, waterways were important for moving cargo. Goods, service, and stuff through North America. We don't have a lot, but in the eastern side of North America, there are a few. And most of them, if not almost all of them, are still maintained. Some are still commercial canal and river systems, and some are basically only recreational. For instance, like the Erie Canal, I'm not sure. It's pretty much only recreational. Certainly in Canada, the Rideau Canal and the Trent Severn Waterway.
Are still commercial.
Are they?
I think there's still some commercial.
Cool. Well, that's neat.
Maybe not.
Anyway, so the idea is, let's say you're in Chicago, city of Chicago in Illinois in the United States. Well, you are connected with the ocean 2 ways. You can either go up Lake Michigan through the Seaway and pop out the St. Lawrence River into the Gulf of St. Lawrence in Canada, or you can enter the Chicago River under the bridges in downtown Chicago, which is the headwaters of the Mississippi. Yeah. Now, there's some complications around that right now, actually, to do with an invasive species of fish, but anyway, those of you who are loopers know all about this, but I haven't done all the research. But anyway, navigationally it's possible, and then you're in the Mississippi River. Cool! And all the great cities and sites along the Mississippi River. So obviously you can pop out in New Orleans, but the lower Mississippi is pretty industrial, and it's mostly just commercial shipping, which can be daunting to some boaters. There's very little marina support, very little fuel support. So if you want to go all the way to New Orleans, which I would love to do. But anyway, it's a little more daunting. But you can turn left into the Tennessee Tom River system, canal system.
Tennessee Tom River system.
Yeah.
And it takes you horizontal and then down the Tennessee River. And you
Mobile.
pop out down, just right around Mobile. And then you cut across the Florida Flats.
Yeah.
to Key West.
Yeah.
Or you can go down to Lake Okeechobee and go across through the bottom half of the Florida, and you sort of miss the whole lower Keys.
The Keys and all
which
that.
are
Exactly, yeah.
Why would you want to do that?
Yeah, I know.
That's like,
I mean, let's go to the Keys, right?
Key West is still one of my favorite places in the world.
Exactly. You can tell by his voice he has some expertise for this part of the world,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Exactly.
yes.
Anyway, and then at that point, once you're on the Atlantic coast of Florida, you can move your way up what's called the Intercoastal Waterway. So you're coming up the coast, but it's often protected by barrier reefs and islands. So it's actually quite safe.
And it's basically short hops.
A little short hops.
Short hops.
Yeah.
And even in the rougher areas, there's actually now inter-channel canals that have been cut to allow you to get off the outer shore, come back on the interior where you're totally protecting it.
Yeah.
It's a grand thing.
Thing to do,
the loop boat would be a great
perfect for that.
experience.
I won't dwell on it too long because most of you will know what the loop is, but I just wanted to mention again. By the time you get up the eastern coast, either at New York or up into the St. Lawrence River, there's lots of options to then cross over again into the Great Lakes and back to Chicago.
Yeah, Good Dog mentions it here. If you look up American Great Loop Association,
Everything you'll ever want to know.
everything you want to know about it, maps, the charts, all the links and everything are there. And it's a great organization to join to support it too. Tim Tom is the Tennessee Tom Bigby Waterway, Brian says. So there we go. So Tom Bigby. Can you cross from Florida to the Bahamas? Not in this boat, in Geordie's probably, but it'd be on a good day.
It depends on your perception of risk. It's a short distance.
They do it in kayaks, but I mean, I don't know if I want to be one of the kayaks when it's doing it.
I forget the name of them, but there are some deadly northerly winds that can come up very quickly on that crossing. So it's timing and route planning.
The Gulf Stream,
the
water temperature change in the Gulf Stream creates tremendous changes in the weather. I've crossed it many times. It's I don't know if I'd want to do it in Palm.
Exactly.
It might be a little small for that. This is one of the things that not only does it make a good loop boat here, this would also be a good boat when Peter, at the latter part of his life, when he ends up in the French and English canals, this would be another good canal boat too, to continue the experience over into the European side too.
Take both boats to Europe.
And
why not?
Just do the same process again.
Right. My screen is frozen again. So
if I got it here. They say they all kind of weird stuff here.
Panama Canal.
Panama Canal.
That's the Panama Canal part isn't so problem. It's getting there. That's a bit of a problem. Could be done solar only, but we need solar panels that could be on one boat, on a lightning on the boat, extensive modifications to the boat. Yeah, exactly. Well, the boat would have solar, just to have some top up for here and there, but it's not would power the boat really, pretty much. Excellent. This is annoying to read, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here.
A lot of stuff in here, and I've never seen this before.
Confederation and all kind of weird stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, I think that's...
Okay, but I think we're caught up.
So
do you want to open a dialogue? I guess we're already starting to do that. But in other words, what would you like to see? I mean, we've talked. We've answered a few questions. This was meant to be a interactive dialogue about what we might do with the boat. Which of these topics interest you? Which sound like something you'd like to, further? Obviously, this dialogue is going to be available into the future. We can talk about this at any live stream or any comment in any video at any time, or shoot me an email or Instagram or any way you get a hold of me. So if you have particular questions about it, certainly they don't need to be asked here. But
somebody says, how would you get to the Great Lakes from here? There's a whole series from Anacortes, Washington, to the western Lake Superior. What's that down there?
Thunder Bay.
Where they transport both of these boats because they have a low keel. You just put it on a flatbed, and they're so easily transportable. I mean, they literally there's whole companies. That's all they do is move boats back and forth from there to and I forgot the name of that town. Is it?
Well, you can do it right from Vancouver. You can do it right from
Vancouver. And you just basically go back and forth, and it's fairly inexpensive for what you're doing. It's very reasonable.
Yeah.
So both of them could fit on flatbeds and do it very, very easily.
Yeah.
And then you going from here to Europe, you put it in a container. You put it in a
well, neither boat will fit in a container, but it would go.
A container ship.
Yeah, deck cargo.
Deck cargo.
Yeah. Okay, what else we got going on here?
Somebody says, Gray says, Pome would be a great boat for the English waterways, Norfolk Broads,
Yes, wouldn't
and
it?
the canal systems, whatever it would be.
What do we got? I'm going to do a refresh here. Sorry, folks, if our technology is not keeping up with your ability to ask questions.
The way you could work. Let's see here.
All right. Okay. So no actually really literal questions coming in at all, are there really?
More comments.
Yeah. May what's that? Anything?
Nope, no, it's just comments.
Okay.
Oh, what bell is that? That's the Holland. It's Holland, right?
Yes, it was
The
a
Country
gift.
of Hundred. It's a tower over here. I guess we could show it to them. It's a tower over here they built. It has a series of bells in it that Holland produced, and it plays a song at the top of every hour during the daytime.
The word would be a carillon.
Carry on.
It's a French series of bells, and you can actually play a piano. Although this is a recording that's done. It's actually playing the bells, but it uses solenoids and motors and things to ring the bells. And we get it every hour, all day. I love it.
It says, does Pome have any problems that need to be addressed? The only real issues with the boat right now is the need. My intention was originally to take the boat and at next haul out to take all of the decks and topsides down to bare wood and build them back up like we did the hull. The hull's been taken all the way to wood and brought back up. Topside piked in the wood and brought back up. So the bottom part of the boat's already gone to wood. So now it has a base. We know this is what it looks like. We cleaned up all the fasteners and everything else. Now we know what we put on top of it. This thing had like 4 different types of bottom paint, hard and ablative on top of each other, intermixed, just a mess. Now we know it's only got hard on there, and it's same thing with we use Epiphanes varnish on the outside, the finish, and then the matte on the inside. So I'd like to bring it. I think it'd be great to go back to wood and bring it back up.
Yeah.
And do the same thing with the top side. It's the canvas on the back cabinet is 83 years old. Still looks good. But it could be better if it was taken back down to wood, brought back up again for another, and get another 50 years out of it. Would be
More
just,
than that, ideally, yeah.
It would be great to get that taken care of, and that would solve some of the leaks that the top has. So which we catch now, and it's not that bad, but it's a few leaks here and there. But for the most part, mechanically, everything is working fine.
It's all new plumbing, all new wiring.
All new wiring.
The motor's good. The hull is good. The steering and control system is good. It's got an excellent depth sounder. It has radio. It's got a beautiful windlass, but it'll have another beautiful windlass. So it's got wonderful ground tackle. All new mooring lines, all new fenders. It's cruise ready. Yeah. It's pretty much cruise ready, with the possible exception of a bathroom ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a chemical tool, and it works.
Yeah.
But it's nice to have a full marine head.
Yeah.
But from that standpoint, the most of it is just once it got. My goal was to get it done right. I didn't do anything. Why it looks so terrible right now, I'm kind of embarrassed because I didn't want. There was no sense in doing anything now and then not getting it to bare wood.
Yeah.
So we put varnish on top of what was there, sanding it a little bit, and it doesn't help. It just pops right off. So it did, and it's got to go back down past the top layer of wood anyway, and all the planks are thick as can be. This is all 1-inch mahogany, the whole thing. Yeah. The sides here, the deck, all 1-inch mahogany, and it's been great. It's been boathouse kept its entire life, except during my experience. And then we're planning on getting a cover to go over the whole thing when it's not being used. So that'll take care of it. But to get it back down to wood and then bring it back up like we did the transom. Transom's got 8 coats on. The transom was dealt with the same time this up here was what you saw on the foredeck.
Yeah, but it got to go right to wood.
But it got to go all the way to wood, and you see what it looks like. It looks perfect. It still looks gorgeous because it's got 8 coats on there, and then we got put 4 more coats on top of that, and then that'll be in per. And that's what we want the deck to look like. It just didn't get. We just wouldn't get it time and haul out. It takes another haul out to do it. So that would be the next big thing that would be done. But outside of that, the mechanics are all in good shape, and everything else here, and.
Generally pretty good. Exactly. I'm frozen up again. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble here. What I thought would be nice to do, because we're probably getting to the end of what's valuable here, I'd like to talk a little bit about what you have planned.
Oh, okay.
I mean, and on that, I'd like to say that of course, Lloyd's owned this boat for a year. Well, he's documented it incredibly well from before he even had it on his Instagram account, which is W. Lloyd Williams.
2 L's.
WLLOYD Williams. And he can be found, and I'll put links to his Instagram both on my Instagram and here in the forums. But anyway, the neat thing about that is you can jump back and look at the recent history of Poem, which includes some great cruising and some work on the boat and all kinds of stuff.
And I'll keep doing that because Peter and I still intend we intend to travel together to Desolation and maybe to Broughton's this summer together. I'll crew with him.
Exactly.
And I'll document that. And I'm going to continue. My goal right now, and where I'm headed, is I'm shopping right now for a Mercedes-Benz Sprinter 144 high top van. In full bore mode, looking for them. There's 3 on the market right now. I'm just going to keep my fingers out there, and I'm ready to buy one as soon as I find one. So if you know of one, drop some on Instagram. Drop me a message. Let me know. But I'm looking for one, hopefully here in BC, to make it simple. But I'd like to get one, and I'm just going to convert it. I'm going to do a very quick mock-up conversion and live with it for 6 months, and then I'll go and I'll find one of the converter shops, and I'll deal with them where I buy all my supplies through them and get to use, share equipment, that kind of stuff there. And I'll just find someplace where I can finish it up, and I'll finish it up 6 months from now. After that, I'll put a final conversion. I've got some design ideas. Peter's helped me with some ideas he had because he's done van lifing, so he understands it. I've done a lot of van lifing myself. I converted my first van in the early 70s, a GM, and then I've spent 3 years cruising traveling around from 2008 to 2010 in a big Prevost bus conversion done by Country Coach, and that's too big for what I want to do. I want something smaller, so I'm going to get the 20-foot 44 wheelbase and convert that. And truth, my goal is to spend my summers here in Canada and my winters in the States. I'm a dual citizen, so I have access to both sides of the border, and make it across Canada, get to Nova Scotia, see my old friends over there, and then come southwest, back over to the southwest, work my way back north to Victoria. Victoria will stay home. So that's the short version of really what I want to do, and I
follow along.
And I get a chance to see Peter every summer,
that's
and
right.
we'll try to connect up and spend a week together, and that'll be kind of fun.
Neat.
We've known each other almost 15 years.
Quite a while. We met in Nova Scotia.
Nova Scotia, and
yeah,
it's been a dear friendship.
Cool. I've been scrolling through. Probably the only really a meaningful question here is: does MV Poem have a dinghy? No, it doesn't yet. So that's one of the first things I got to arrange because it's really not safe to cruise without a dinghy alone when you're by yourself. So I'm on the hunt. You probably all know that both MV Zephyrs and MV Geordie have the Minto little fiberglass Pacific Northwest lap strake sailing dinghies. I just love these boats, even though they're fiberglass, but it means they're very light and robust.
7-footer would be perfect.
Yeah.
If anybody knows it was 7-footer, it would fit right here with a boom mast perfectly.
Yeah.
I've been looking for one for ages.
Exactly. Mine is a 10'6" version or 10'4" or something like that, but there's a 7-foot version, and I had one once, but I let it go. So that's what I'm looking for Poem. So if you know of one, let me know. I think we're pretty close to wrapping up, unless there's something crucial here. I'm super excited about it. I hope you all are too. Again, we don't know how this is going to play out, but something is going to happen that's going to be a lot of fun. And the intent is both on Lloyd's part is to support the channel and the work I do, but also to increase the interactivity of the channel. In other words, let's get to meet more of you and get more of you hands dirty or swimming in Desolation Sound and cruising. So one way or another, the intent of Poem is to create more interactivity in the wooden boat culture of the Pacific Northwest. Yeah. That's what I'm going to say.
And my goal from here is to do the exact same experience on land. Go see all the places. I was a landscape photographer for years. I'm going to go back and pick up more photography and just tour around. And I'm not a YouTube star like Peter. I'm sort of quiet, kind of for being sort of reserved, so I'm not really good in front of the camera, as you know. I apologize for my awkwardness. He's outstanding. I'm not.
I think you're awesome.
But it's going to be. I want to try to make it beautiful. I love writing poems and trying to be a poet in that sense. So that's my life. Is just being a nomadic poet, traveling around, seeing all the wonders we have of this.
It sounds great. So don't forget to go check him out on Instagram. Join up Instagram. If you're not on Instagram, this is a good reason to join Instagram. So it's W Lloyd Williams, two L's in Lloyd.
I'll put it here in the chat so you.
Oh, there you go. It goes right into the chat. How clever of you.
Put it here in the chat so everybody can have that there real quick, and that way you.
So that'll be one of the last comments we put in. I think we're going to sign off right around now, and really enjoyed having a chance to show you home. And of course, you're going to see a lot more of it in the coming months. And I'm so pumped.
And that's all actually all one word. It ends up having a space between it, so it's W. Lloyd Williams, all one word.
All one word.
One word, and that's both Facebook and Instagram. And they duplicate. I just duplicate both. Every post goes both places.
Right,
So
so
whichever one's your favorite platform, you
Super.
get the same content.
Thanks so much, mate.
Matt, thank you.
Absolutely fantastic.
I wish all of you outstanding time. Continue with this channel. I want to see this channel continue. I've been a fan since I found it when he moved over here. And he's just done a great job, and I hope to support this as much as I can going forward. So,
thank you yet again, Lloyd. It's
thanks
been
everybody.
fantastic. Cheers.
Thanks.
See you all.
See you.
I never know how to stop it.